New for the 2013 release of SolidWorks is a powerful new capability that'll actually be released in SolidWorks 2012 SP5 for customers on active subscription. It's called Previous Release Interoperability, and as its name sounds, it allows for interoperability between different versions of the software. Let's take a look at this great new set of tools. Here, we're in SolidWorks 2013. We can see that we have an assembly that's comprised of components that are also designed in SolidWorks 2013. We know this because looking at the save icon, we don't get any notification that the files are older and will be updated upon save. This assembly also contains a series of standard mates that have mated them together. In this case, we designed belt covers for a motorcycle transmission. We are using the latest version of the software, 2013. However, we might need to collaborate with vendors, suppliers, or customers who are on an older version of the software. In this case, the gasket manufacturer who's still using SolidWorks 2012. Let's take a look at how previous release interoperability allows us to collaborate. We'll go ahead and close this design and go back over to SolidWorks 2012. When we open one of the part files inside of SolidWorks 2012, we'll be presented with a notification that the component was designed in a newer version of the software. In this case, it actually specifically says beta version, but that's for this case only. Once we have the file open, we can see that we can zoom, pan, and rotate just like a normal SolidWorks file. It highlights and selects as well. However, when we go over to the Feature Manager tree, we can see that there are a few changes. Though the standard front, top, right plane, origin, and the material characteristics are here, the features have been replaced with a future version file icon. This is to prevent any possible issues for new or changed features in the software between different versions. Let's open an assembly to see if there's any changes in there. As soon as we open the assembly, we're presented with the same notification as when we open the part file. In this case, however, we can see that the component icons themselves have been replaced with the future version file icon. The assembly does contain the mates, though they can't be edited for similar reasons to the features themselves. So how can the user in 2012 take advantage of this? In our case, we need to design a new gasket, so let's start a new assembly. Immediately we can see that we can insert the 2013 components and assemblies into our 2012 assembly without any hassle. We can utilize these just like we would any other files inside of 2012. In this case, we're going to create a couple of mates to locate these two 2013 parts together. As mentioned, we can even utilize the system planes that are provided by default in these files also. So we've seen that we can work with 2013 files in 2012, but let's take a look at a component that's been started in 2012. Here we can see that it's fairly standard and contains all the basic features. The immediate benefits for previous release interoperability can be seen when we can start intermingling parts from different versions of the software, in this case dragging and dropping this gasket into this assembly. We can manipulate the components just like other files, such as using things like tab to hide. In this case, we're going to make the 2012 components to the 2013 files. And again, we can see that we can do this without issue. Once these components have been completely mated into place, we're going to go ahead and save this assembly. We'll call this gasket design. Now that we've had the assembly saved and all the components mated in place, let's look at where the previous release interoperability really shines. It's in its capability to do things such as in-context relationships. This gasket design is a very simple representation of what we're looking for. Let's remove this extension off of it and look at creating exactly what we need. Immediately, we can start sketching on our 2013 components and use powerful tools like convert entities. In this case, we want to capture the inside and outside edges of our design. We'll then go ahead and use these to extrude these to create our new gasket design. Once we finish creating these features, we'll go ahead and turn all the other components back on and we'll save this assembly. Now that we're done, let's close this in SolidWorks 2012 and go back to SolidWorks 2013. we'll open the gasket design assembly that was created in 2012, and we can see that it interacts and looks and feels just like a regular SolidWorks assembly. In fact, it is. We get the same notification for an assembly that was created in an older version. However, all the mates that we created and even the in-context relationships have been maintained and established. This is great as it allows the user in 2013 to continue to take advantage of continuing the design in the latest version of the software. As we can see, previous release interoperability allows for an unprecedented level of collaboration between users of different versions of the software.